Okay, welcome everyone. Wednesday night, Halacha and Chassidus is now Thursday night, at least for the time being, for the duration of the summer, God willing. We'll do it Thursday nights in Mitzvah Hashem, and after the summer, I guess Tishrei anyway is going to be, I don't know, I didn't actually look at the schedule exactly when all the Yom Tovim are, but I'm assuming Tishrei is a little bit busy for everybody, but we'll see how that goes. And then I guess after Tishrei, or maybe during Tishrei, we'll have to reevaluate and see when's this year going to be, God willing. But for now, Thursday night in Mitzvah Hashem. So the grand draw finished yesterday. Thanks to everyone who participated, Baruch Hashem. And it was great, Baruch Hashem, very successful, thank God. But it also meant that I didn't really have time to prepare two separate topics for tonight, a halacha topic and a Chassidic topic. I didn't have time to prepare. Obviously, I didn't really like.
The song is coming.
Here, or take another chair, whatever we'll see. So instead of in lieu, no pun intended, in lieu of doing two separate topics like we usually do, where we do roughly half an hour of halacha and half an hour of chassidus, we're just going to do one topic, which is really a halacha topic, really. And I called it, it's also halacha and chassidus, but it's not exactly chassidus per se. It's more just, well, we'll see, a little bit of a message at the end. But this is a talk delivered by the Lubavitcher Rebbe on a halacha in Rambam. That's what it is. And we're going to read the halacha in the Rambam, and we're going to try to analyze and discuss the halacha a little bit. And we'll see if you think it's practical or not. Officially, the halacha we do is supposed to be practical halacha. So we'll see how that goes. Ready? As always, please stop me. I'm just going to read and translate. I'll fill in the blanks if I need to. And if I say something doesn't make sense, as always, please stop me or ask. Please feel free to ask and so forth. Aleph. The Rambam. Oh, the reason, but just before we start, I'll say the reason why I chose the Sikha. Well, not this in particular, but as we know, it's Parshas Bolach this week, and Motzei Shabbos is leading into Sunday, of course, which is a fast day. If, God forbid, Mashiach doesn't come, it will be a fast day of the 17th of Tammuz. And during that period of 3 weeks, when there's a period of mourning, we know you're not supposed to take haircuts and so on and so forth, different laws that apply during the 3 weeks, starting from Sunday. So really, if you want a haircut, you really should get a haircut before Shabbos, really. Motzei Shabbos is, I think, questionable halachically if you're supposed to get a haircut or not. So if you want to get a haircut, etc., recommended to do that before Shabbos. So it's the 3 weeks, not supposed to listen to music, all the various, there's no weddings typically, and so on and so forth. There occasionally are weddings, actually. That's a little halacha trivia. Who could get married during the 3 weeks? Actually, of Nevad Yosef's son, Yitzchak Yosef, I saw a letter, he issued a psak. This year you could get married during the 3 weeks, even Ashkenazim Paskins, because of the matzav in Eretz Yisrael and the war and everything, and Chassan had been locked out of Eretz Yisrael, couldn't get back. So he said that if people are going to push off the weddings till after the 3 weeks, it's going to be hard to find a hall. It's going to be very difficult. So he said even Sfardim may wear more makel, at least up till the 9 days or the week that Tisha B'Av was in. But anyway, a separate topic. Oh, so what am I trying to say here? That during the 3 weeks, the 3 weeks of mourning, we have to observe the halachos of mourning. I don't know if we need to be extra stringent on them. I don't know if we need to be extra machmir in the halachos. We have to follow them, that's no question. But there should be an element also of positivity. What can I do? What am I, not just what I'm not allowed to do during the 3 weeks. What can I do? And the Rebbe very strongly encouraged people, everyone, me, you, and all of us together, during the 3 weeks, not just to mourn, that's halacha says you have to mourn, okay, good, but also to focus on the Beis HaMikdash, learning about the Beis HaMikdash, learning the halachas of the Beis HaMikdash, learning Mishnayos, Masechta Midos, Masechta Tomid, that talk about the Beis HaMikdash. And the Rebbe also mentioned specifically to learn Hilchos Beis HaBechira in the Rambam, which are the halachas, the only ones, the halachas that talk about the actual halachic rules regarding the Beis HaMikdash. So we're going to start that tonight, even though it's not the 3 weeks yet. And we hope and pray the Mashiach, we hope and pray the Mashiach will come long before Shabbos, long before Shiva Asar B'Tammuz on Sunday, and then this will be mamash a practical halacha. So let's get right into it. The Rambam Hilchos Beis HaBechira Reish Perek Ches, beginning of the 8th chapter of the Rambam Hilchos Beis HaBechira, he writes as follows: Shmiras HaMikdash mitzvah saseh. It is a positive commandment. It is a positive mitzvah to guard the Beis HaMikdash. What are we guarding it from? What is the purpose of guarding the Beis HaMikdash? V'afal pi, says the Rambam, even though even though we're not actually concerned about ganifs, we're not concerned about thieves and bandits, rather the whole purpose of shmira, of guarding, I don't know if that's the best translation, watching, guarding, shmira, how to translate shmira, I don't know, guarding, protecting, watching. We could use different, get a thesaurus or something. The purpose for shmira, for guarding the Beis HaMikdash, is kavod, respect, just to give kavod to the Beis HaMikdash. How so? You can't compare a palace that has guards standing in front of it, like Buckingham Palace. You go, I've never been there. You see the pictures. The guards, they stand at attention and they like don't make any reaction to you. They're there. Pashut kavod. I don't think they're protecting it from ganefs. Pashut kavod lahavdil for the place itself. So you can't compare. That's what the Rambam writes. Good. So we guard the Beis HaMikdash, the mitzvah to guard the Beis HaMikdash, and the reason is kavod. Kavod for the Beis HaMikdash. Continues the Rambam. When are we required to guard it? V'shmira zu mitzvasa kol halayla. The ganze Nacht. We have to have watchmen guarding / giving kavod to the Beis HaMikdash all day and all night. The guards are kohenim and levim. They're the ones who get the job. And if they don't do it for whatever reason, if they're mevatel this mitzvah, they don't do the opportunity to guard it. Over beloy saseh, they've actually transgressed one of the 613 commandments. They've transgressed the mitzvahs loy saseh of v'shamruas mishmeres hakodesh. So it's a problem. V'loshen shmira azharid. When we see in the Torah it says v'shomru, guard, protect. It's an azhara. It's cautioning us, warning us. So two mitzvahs actually attached to the mitzvah of guarding the Beis HaMikdash. Number one is a mitzvah saseh, a positive commandment. You should guard. You means the kohenim and levim. You should guard the Beis HaMikdash. Why? Kavod. Number two, if you don't, for whatever reason, I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you don't, for whatever reason, chas v'shalom, you're over on a loy saseh. You transgress the loy saseh. Good? That's the Rambam. So the Rebbe says as follows. Based on this very Rambam, that we're learning the Halacha of the Rambam, that the reason to guard the Beis HaMikdash is for kavod. Based on that, we have a big kasha. A big kasha today in 2025. A big kasha. What's the question? Kavod HaMikdash loy biglal binyan HaMikdash atzmoi ela biglal hashchina hasheda b'Mikdash. If we just take a deeper look, why is there a mitzvah to guard the Beis HaMikdash? Kavod. Kavod for what? For the stones? For the actual physical structure needs kavod? We give kavod to stones? Is that the way it works? No. The kavod is for the Shekhinah, the divine presence, who is found within the Beis HaMikdash. That's the kavod. The Rambam himself writes, which is a separate mitzvah we're not going to discuss tonight. There's a separate mitzvah of having moira, of having gira, of having a reverence or awe for the Beis HaMikdash. And the Rambam writes over there, you don't need to have reverence for the actual physical structure. It's stones. Rather, the mitzvah is to have yira, to have reverence and awe, not for the stone, but for the one who commands us to be in a state of awe, in a state of reverence. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So to here by Shmira, the purpose of guarding is to give covet. But we don't give covet to stones. We don't give covet to inanimate objects. The covet is for the Shechina. Which explains, by the way, says the Rebbe in the next paragraph, that's why the Shomrim are not just anybody. The Shomrim have to be a Kohen and a Levi. Who are the most distinguished. They get the special keyboard, right? It says a Kohen, even if he's an Amoritz, and an ignoramus, he gets to come the first Aliyah. Doesn't matter. If a Rav comes in and says, excuse me, I'm a Chashav Rav, I want the first Aliyah. I'm sorry. Kohen, he's an Amoritz. Doesn't matter. The Gemara actually discusses Taka that Rav Huna and Rav Huna Taka took the first Aliyah when they were Kohenim there. But Rav Huna was the Gadol Hador, and the entire Yisrael knew it was Rav Huna was Rav Huna. So nobody was going to say, how come he got the first Aliyah? I want the first Aliyah. Nobody would say it's Rav Huna. So nobody, and also Rav Preda says elsewhere, Rav Preda also would take the first Aliyah. But those are the exceptions that prove the rule. The rule is the Kohen gets the first Aliyah, so there's something, and then the lady gets the second Aliyah. And they get to do the avodah in the Beis HaMikdash, and so on and so forth. They get certain privileges. So Dafka, the more elevated people, they're the ones to guard. Why? Because they don't need to be expert snipers. That's not what it's about. It's about covet. So the most elevated people guarding, or not really guarding, but giving covet to the Shechina. Why do we take a Kohen who's allowed to do avodah in the Beis HaMikdash? He's got very holy things to do. And the Levium also singing and whatever their avodah is, very holy things. And we say to them, no. Stop your avodah and just go stand over there go stand over there and just keep your eyes out. Just stand there, do nothing. Why are we mevatel them from their holy work? Give the job to a lowly Yisrael like myself. I got nothing better to do. Give the job to someone like me. A Kohen, you take him away from his avodah. You a Kohen? You Levi? Okay, so you and me can guard the Beis HaMikdash. We're, no offense, we're lowly nothings. A Kohen, let him do his avodah. Don't get too arrogant, okay? But rather, what's the Shmira? It's not just stand watch. No, the Shmira is covered for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Therefore, who Taka should do the Shmira? Kohen and Levim, obviously. They're not mevatel their avodah by doing that. It's not a bittul of their work. It's a gewaltige cover for them and for the Shechina. It should be, this is a job that necessitates the most elevated choshev of people. Okay, back to our topic of Venogela Hashchina, the last paragraph in the right column. Venogela Hashchina, Kazav Rambam Lifneza, Shekadusha Risheni Kichel Osu Lavoy. Lefishekadusha Zamidas Virushalayim Mibei Hashchina B'Shchina Ena Batela. The Rambam writes earlier in chapter 6 of Hilchos Beis HaBechira that the Kedusha of the Beis HaMikdash, the holiness, the Kedusha of Yerushalayim is not a temporary thing. It's not like an on-off switch. The light's on, the light's off. It doesn't work that way with Kedusha. Once the light's on, the light is on. That's the way it is. V'shchina eina b'teila, says the Rambam. The Shechina never ceases to be. Once the Shechina is present, it's always there. The Pasuk says, we read it whatever, a month or so ago, more than a month ago. And I will lay barren your sanctuaries. The Gemara says in Masechet Megillah, famous Gemara, even though our sanctuaries are desolate, they've been destroyed. We're in Galus, we don't have the Beis HaMikdash, been destroyed. Nevertheless, as the Gemara, they still have their Kedusha. And therefore, bringing the carbonis that I'm writes, even without the Beis HaMikdash, we're not going to go into the detail now. Put in a bracket, so we can leave that aside for now. There's a Maisa that says that after the Rebbe Marash, the fourth Lubavitcher Rebbe, passed away, if I recall correctly, the Maisa, that his son came into the room and put on his gartel, and I don't know if he said Tillim or he davened, and was crying. I think someone asked him, well, what's going on? Are you emotional? It's not emotional. It's not an issue of me being emotional. So this is the place that a holy man sat and learned and davened to Kadosh Baruch Hu. Once the Kiddush is there, it's there. It's always there, permeates existence. So once the Shekhinah is present in Yerushalayim, once the Shekhinah is present in the Beis HaMikdash, it doesn't matter that the Beis HaMikdash is destroyed. The Shekhinah is still there. So based on this, Al Pi Ze Yotzei L'chura, we could say as follows: Shehamitzvah d'Shmiras HaMikdash she'einu b'glal pachad me'oyim v'nistimelu b'glal kavod HaMikdash kavod HaShekhinah she'sheir sham hi b'chol hazmanim. So we're forced to say that the mitzvah of guarding shmira on the Beis HaMikdash applies in all times. Gam bizman hazeh, even today. In 2025, there's a mitzvah to guard the Beis HaMikdash. Why? Because we're not guarding the stones. We're guarding, i.e. giving kavod to the Shekhinah, which is still there. Even after the destruction. Why? Like the Gemara says in Megillah, quoted before. Even after the destruction, the Kedusha is still there. So what should we be doing? We should have Shmira for the Beis HaMikdash. Today in 2025. By the way, even part of the actual physical building is still there. So don't even say it. So Adarab, it's even stronger. There's some of the physical structure is still there. Like the Rambam himself writes in the 4th chapter of Hilchos Beis Bechira, She'ha'oron v'matei Aaron v'tzitzenes Amon v'shemen HaMishcha nignuzu b'matmoinis Amukos v'kalklois mitachas l'kodesh HaKadoshim. The Rambam writes that the Aaron, the ark, the staff of Aaron HaKohen, the one that sprouted almonds in Parshas Pinchas, right? Or almond flowers, whatever. Almonds, almond flowers. Okay. Huh? Yeah. Okay. And the tzinsenes, I say tzinsenes, the vial, the jar or something of mon, of the manna, the mon. And the shemen HaMishcha, the oil used for anointing, are hidden under the Beis HaMikdash, under the Beis, under the Kodesh HaKadoshim. And it's still there today. So for sure, even though the general structure was destroyed, the Shekhinah is still there. Not only that, some of the actual part of the Beis HaMikdash still exists. It's still there. It's mamish under the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Yeah, that's when we can make a kal v'chomer what the Rambam says from the mitzvah to have yira, reverence or awe to the Beis HaMikdash. Sha'af, he writes as follows: Sha'af al Beis HaMikdash hayoim chariv avinu, even though the Mikdash unfortunately has been destroyed. The Rambam writes we're obligated to have yira towards the Beis HaMikdash, meaning you're not allowed to go anywhere except for the places you're explicitly allowed to go. I was up, when you face the kotel, up to the left, the top, above is like an army, like a police / army station up there. So I was there when I visited my daughter in seminary just a year and a half ago or so. She was in seminary in Israel. I had someone that knew someone, and he got us into that up there in this place where the soldiers guard watch basically over the Beis from up there. Make sure there's nothing sketchy happening. So the guy's taking us through. I walk, I see a room, I peek in the room, all of a sudden, oh my gosh, this room, you could walk into it, is mamish on the Beis. So I didn't, I noticed what it was. Okay, I know some people today say you could go up, but okay. But either way, you have to be careful. You can't just walk around on the Beis because the Kedusha is still there. So you have to have yira. So just like the Rambam writes by the mitzvah yira of awe and reverence for the Beis HaMikdash, that mitzvah still applies today 100% in force. You're not allowed to just take a tour, walk around on the Beis without getting into the whole debate that goes on there. It's all about going up, not going up. But even the ones that go up, it's not a free for all. So if that's the case, that the mitzvah of Yira applies today, which that's just the mitzvah asay. But as we said earlier, that the mitzvah of Shmira is an asay and a lois asay. The mikol shekin v'kal v'chomer shekein hu b'nogel mitzvah Shmira zamidah mitzvah lois asay. So for sure the mitzvah applies to do Shmira. And in fact, moreover, it's such a big mitzvah. And it's not just any mitzvah. Who gets to do this mitzvah? The most elevated chashuv of people. That indicates it's a very special mitzvah to do. Yet nobody does it. Who does it? You haven't met someone who does it. I never met anybody who does this mitzvah. It's very strange. Even today in 2025, all night and all day. This is okay. Difference of opinion exactly. Is it 24/7 or exactly how many? But either way, there's a mitzvah to guard to do shmira. I said it wrong before. At the beginning of this year, I realized as soon as I said I said something wrong. Something I said didn't make sense. The Rambam writes that the mitzvah to guard the whole night. I said day and night. As I was saying it, I'm like, So the Rambam holds the mitzvah is at nighttime. Other opinions hold the mitzvah is day and night. Either way, there's still a mitzvah today to do it. How many hours exactly? Okay, we could debate it.
According to that opinion, there's no battle of the avoda so much.
You're right.
Because they're not working in the daytime. I mean, there's avoda during the day, not during the night. So there really is no battle.
It's a good point. It's a good point. Yeah. You could say maybe that if they're going to be up all nights, they're going to be tired, but that's not such a question. It's not no. Yeah, okay, it's a good point. Because they're in the daytime. How do we express the covet? Covet is the avodah itself. You, Mr. Kohen, are doing a avodah during the day, and at night you're guarding it. Givaldik. That expresses the covet of the Beis HaMikdash. Mavur calls it Baruch B'Sefer Mishkanos La'aver Yaakov. This is such a sefer. He goes into this at length, these details and so forth. Should maybe ribuy svoras v'taimis mitzvah shmir zamidah shigamet manazeh. He brings all sorts of rationale and explanations and reasonings that the mitzvah shmiras HaMikdash applies today as well. Umechaber a sefer masik kach l'maskon, and he passes that way. This particular sefer. He himself tried to actually do the mitzvah. I heard also that there was a Lubavitcher Yid named Moshe Weber in Yerushalayim. I heard also that he would stand by the Koisel, like Al's Kovet. I heard such a thing. He would stand there somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, based on everything we've said so far, that seemingly there's a mitzvah in full force. Or technically speaking, two mitzvahs. A mitzvah saseh, a positive mitzvah, and a mitzvah lois saseh, a negative mitzvah, to guard the Beis HaMikdash for covet of the Shechina. And those parts of the Beis HaMikdash, the Aron and the Tzinteres Haman, etc., that are still present. They're hidden under the Kodesh HaKadoshim. And the mitzvah is either all day and all night, or maybe it's just during the night. Whatever specifically the hours of operation are. But the mitzvah applies today. So the question is, why don't we see through all the generations, to our knowledge, not a single gadol b'Yisrael that tried to do the mitzvah? No gadol did this mitzvah, or tried to tell his kohen to do it, or his Levi to do it, whatever it may be. And Bichlal Yidden didn't do the mitzvah. Of course, it would be b'mokim amutu b'zman hazeh k'shekulon tmei mesim. Okay, it can only be in certain locations. Everybody's tamei meis today. We don't have the parah duma. That was Isaac's parsha. We saw paradumas in Shiloh. They have paradumas in Shiloh. That's so. They had four. I was there last summer. I saw 4 paradumas in Shiloh. Anyway, so okay, it would only be in certain locations, fine, but still we could do it. Maybe even if we can't do it regularly, maybe every Kippur, maybe on Rosh Hashanah, maybe on some special time during the year, at least once in a while, some big Rav, a big tzaddik, someone should come and do the mitzvah shmir. Gornish, we see no such thing. We don't find such a thing even in the generations right after the Churban. Even when you still had in the generations immediately following the Churban, there were still Yidden came Aliyah the Regel. They still came to Yerushalayim. Nor the generations after it. And forget about it. You know, maybe you're going to say they're not going to travel from Morocco. Okay, they're not going to travel from Poland and France. Okay, but they were living in Eretz Yisrael. Tzaddikim, huge people. Why didn't they do this mitzvah? Which again is two mitzvahs. Asay and Asay. I feel about Nogel Beis HaKnesses and Beis HaMikdash. Even if, let's tone it down a notch. A shul. A yeshiva. A Beis HaMikdash. Like where we are right now. Place of Torah and Tefillah. The halacha is that there has to be reverence for a shul. It's just, a shul is not for frivolous behavior. You're not allowed to do your accounting. You can't balance your checkbook in a shul. There's many halachas of things you're not allowed to do in a shul. It's not proper for the place. And even even if the shul is destroyed, there's still a place. There's still kedusha in that shul, and therefore you have to have still proper yira and proper covenant for a shul, even when it's destroyed. Because we're going to say the same thing about the shul. The shul still has kedusha. Many shuls, they have a shomer. The shomer is the gabbai, a shamish, if it's an escort, someone who shows you to your seat, in larger shuls maybe. So if we do that for a shul, why don't we do it for the Beis HaMikdash itself? It's okay so far? We're going to build up the question even more, if that's okay. You want an answer already. You don't want to know the answer already. We have to build up the question.
I want to hazard a guess. With the Beis HaMikdash,
That's the one.
the Beis HaMikdash, we have to always remember that it's not there. Maybe to continue that being a shomer there would not. That recognition may be less. Like we have a part of our house we don't finish because we're remembering that the Beis HaMikdash is not there anymore, right? So if we're still just going to send some shomers there, maybe it won't be as.
What do you guys think? Is that mistaber? Does that make sense?
I don't know if it makes sense at all. I'm just throwing it out.
Neither. I still love what they think. What's more likely to get someone to remember that the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed? Not to go to the Mokum, not to think about it, or to go there, to stand there, to see it, and to see that there's no Beis HaMikdash there. I don't know. Okay. Let's continue, and we'll maybe become a little bit smarter. Let's strengthen the question. Before we get to the answer, we're going to strengthen the question more. So the Rebbe says, of course, the Rebbe himself was not just the Rebbe was a Chassid. So the Rebbe says, look at my Rebbe. Look at all the Rebbes before me in Chabad. These were great tzaddikim. What did they do? Did they do it? They also didn't do it. Despite the great lengths that they went, to the point of total devotion and self-sacrifice, to strengthen and to settle the land of Israel. Like they had tzedakahs to Kol Chabad, for example. For example, one of the oldest tzedakahs is the tzedakah called Kol Chabad. It was in the 1800s by the Alter Rebbe. It was a tzedakah to give money to Yidden in Eretz Yisrael, Chiyadum for some ribui igros hakodesh be'amor zogim v'masin v'masin v'malim v'kodim v'nagea lachashivus lachazik et tzitkas Eretz Yisrael. There's known many countless letters from the Alter Rebbe and all the other Chabad Rebbeim encouraging their Chassidim and others to give tzedakah to strengthen Eretz Yisrael. This was not something that wasn't on their mind. It was constantly on their mind and in their actions. All of the lavish l'shal the Chabad Rebbeim encouraged people, if you don't have money to give tzedakah to Eretz Yisrael, borrow money to give tzedakah to Eretz Yisrael. That shows you how important it was to them, how important they felt it was. Nevertheless, in such great tzaddikim who were completely devoted and dedicated to Eretz Yisrael, to the Yidden of Eretz Yisrael, we don't see such a thing by the Rebbeim, by the Chabad Rebbeim, that they went to, didn't go themselves, it's a separate issue, but Friedekerk went to Eretz Yisrael. It's the only one of the Rebbeim who went to Eretz Yisrael. Separate issue. But they could have told. All they'd have to do is snap their finger, Koya and Levi, go to Eretz Yisrael and do some shmirah for me. No problem, Rebbe, do whatever you want. They would have been there in a flash. Book the next ticket on El Al. They're there in an instant. But we don't see such a thing. Even though the Sefer we mentioned before, he says you do have to do the mitzvah. That's a das yochid. No one agrees with him. He's the only one who passes that way. He's the only one who says it, that the mitzvah applies today. People didn't accept his opinion. It's a geschmacka sefer. It's a geschmacka idea, but it wasn't discoverable. It wasn't accepted by Klal Yisrael that there's such a mitzvah we better do. Now, what's a possible answer? It says, don't say, no. There were Yidden who did Shmiras HaMikdash. They went and they undercover a little bit. No, I'm just here. But they were really giving cover. They were there for cover. That's not cover. If nobody knows about it, that's not cover. I'm humble and nobody has to know about it. I'm doing it quietly. That's not giving cover to the Shechina, to the Beis HaMikdash. That's the exact opposite. What's the Inyan of Shmiras HaMikdash? She'inyan hu b'chtei she'yiru b'goloi b'firsim is kved HaMikdash. She'ein shmiras elu koved loi. According to the Rambam from before, you cannot compare a palace with guards to a palace without guards. So if you don't see the guards, they gotta be dressed up. You have to know exactly who they are. It has to be obvious that they are there as shomrim. Make a scene out of it. You've got guards that are silent, quiet, you don't even know they're guards. It's not covered. I mean, I guess it's a certain level of covered, but where's the covered? Nobody knows, so it's not covered. Now, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to strengthen the question even more before we get to the answer. I hope you trust me, we're going to get to the answer. You ready to strengthen the question more? Are you ready? Do you understand the question so far?
I think so.
Does it bother you?
A little bit.
A little bit, okay. As long as it bothers you a little bit. The question is, why don't we guard the Beis HaMikdash today in 2025? That's the question. And not only that, why did we never do it? No Gadol b'Yisrael did it, to my knowledge. And the question is, why not? To strengthen the question. Beis. Hakusha mischazekas yoser ubefrat b'doreinu zeh. The question, the question is going to be strengthened, especially today, in our generation today. Why? Since we know that when it comes to Mashiach, everybody knows the famous Ani Maimins of the Rambam, right? Ani Mamin, I believe with a complete faith every single day that Mashiach will come, God willing. And even though he hasn't come yet, and he takes his time, he takes his sweet time. They say when Mashiach's going to come to the Chassidim are going to be verbringing. And he's going to come in and say, Rabbi Sai, here, Mashiach, I've come to redeem you. No, give me a l'chaim. Let's say l'chaim together. Chassidus is going to say, we finished the mashka already. Mashiach's going to say, I'm Mashiach. You couldn't save me a l'chaim? You should have come earlier. Should have come earlier. Okay. So we're saying that Ani means we are meant every single day. Let's say it again. Every single day to anticipate. To wait, to anticipate. He didn't come tomorrow, but you know what? He could come today. Every single day. Psaktin Rambam, as the Rambam paskins la halacha, the animaims are not halachas, right? But he paskins la halacha in Hilchos Tshuva. Shisrael is in Tshuva that as soon as we do Tshuva, but Tshuva yachol liyas b'shayt echad v'rig echad miyad hein nigol, and Yidden will do Tshuva, which takes, by the way, just an instant to do Tshuva, and immediately the Rambam paskins miyad. Immediately we will be redeemed. Mashiach will come. What's going to happen then? Boom, third Beis HaMikdash, right away. Does it come down from heaven built, or did people build it? Okay, we may do another class on that issue during 3 weeks. We'll see. Here the Rebbe says the Beis HaMikdash is going to come down from heaven, ready to rock, ready to go. That could happen at any instant. And we'll find out, by the way, instantaneously as well. WhatsApp, text, everything, instant. Gam Laila, the Beis HaMikdash could even come down in the middle of the night. Then, if he comes in the middle of the night, for sure we have the mitzvah of Shmira, according to the Rambam, who says the mitzvah of night. So no, if Mashiach could come at any moment, and it might even be during the nighttime, when according to the Rambam, you dafka need shemrim. So what do we need to be ready for? The Beis HaMikdash to come down. And what is one of the things we're going to need to do when the Beis HaMikdash comes down from heaven and the Beis HaMikdash is ready? What's one of the things we're going to need to do? Shmira. So for that, you need people. Some kohanim, some levim. No, so let's have them ready. Look, how we need people ready in advance. Don't start trying to, who's a kohen, who's a kohen? We need to be ready for this. We need to be ready for the mitzvah immediately. Don't have to start looking around for a shemer. Be ready immediately. All the more so today, mamish. All the simonim point that this is the generation the Mashiach is going to come. This is the last generation in Golus, the last generation of exile. Mashiach is going to come very, very soon. And it's also, since it's the last generation of Golus, it's also the first generation of Geula. So why are we worried about this? Why don't we set up Shemrim? Okay, answer. You ready for the answer now? I'm sorry it took so long to build it out. Let's see if we can do the answer now. I don't want to run out of time. That would be unfortunate. Gimel, the explanation is as follows. After the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, when the Jews were sent into exile across the diaspora, across the world, and we are Tachas Shibud Malchus HaGoyim. How do you translate that? We're under the control. Thank you. Under the control of other nations. We don't really have true self-determination at this point in history yet. So to do the mitzvah of Shmiras HaMikdash is sakana. It's mamash sakanas nefashos. Unfortunately, as we see, mamash. Maybe it wasn't always so dangerous necessarily, But there were definitely time periods through history. It was mamash sakanat nefashos. Well, you're gonna go and you're gonna be a guard there. You're gonna stand with a nice hat and a fancy jacket and say, "I'm a shomer for the Beis HaMikdash." It's a bunch of dangerous. What are they gonna do to you? And as we know we know the klal, we know the principle. Pikuach nefesh doicha kol haTorah kulo. Pikuach nefesh pushes away the rest of the Torah. Kol la mitzvah the Beis HaMikdash. V'chiven the idchi. And once the mitzvah of Shmira has been pushed away, so it's pushed away, even if it's not dangerous anymore. Once it's pushed away, it's pushed away. So that's the simple reason why we don't do the mitzvah of Shmiras HaMikdash today. Because there were at least certain times when it was sakonas nefashos mamish, it was a risk to your life and limb to do this mitzvah. So therefore, okay, no mitzvah. I mean, there still is a mitzvah. We just don't have to do it nowadays because of this, because of the sakana.
But why don't we do it still?
Oh, because once there was already a situation that it's dangerous to guard the Beis HaMikdash because, God forbid, you could get killed in doing that, based on some of our friends over there. So once the mitzvah is pushed away due to sakana, to a danger, it's just pushed away, even if it's not so dangerous anymore.
So you don't have to, but why don't you just still do it if it's still a mitzvah?
You're not allowed to
You're
do
not
something
allowed
that's a sakana.
Okay.
If something's a sakana, a danger, it's against halacha to do it.
Even if it's no longer so.
Correct.
So how does that work in the history of Jews where you couldn't put on tefillin? Let's say they wouldn't
Tefillin,
allow
yeah.
you to, or any mitzvah, or learning Torah. Right? It was a sakana to learn Torah in Be'erabah. So how is that? How did?
Well, that's an interesting question. I don't know the answer, but it could be that it has to do with the very nature of the mitzvah. Like we said before, the whole inyan of Shmiras HaMikdash is it's public. It's the whole inyan. It needs to be in the public scene. Tefillin, I put it in my room. Who wants to see my tefillin? In fact, even menorah, right, which is public, right? Presuming this, what happened? It got moved to the inside. Okay, now people in the window. Some people, Chabad, by the way, doesn't put it in the window. We're still scared the KGB is watching. My son came home from school today. You can't make this stuff up. My 10-year-old son came home from school today and told me, Tati, we played KGB in school today. This is what it means to grow up in Lubavitch. You go to Lubavitch schools, the kids play KGB. This kid grabs this kid and it's like a whole. So mitzvahs taka were changed, so to speak, right? Again, Chanukah, Persum Nisa, I'll Pesach Beis Havi B'chutz, the Gemara says in Shabbos, right? No, but they put it inside. Why? They were scared. They were scared of whatever. But Shmira, by definition, needs to be public. So that by definition is a sakana, or potentially a sakana. And once it became a sakana, so we don't do it anymore. Furthermore, in general, the danger in which we're in from the Gentile nations during golus, during exile, certainly it goes without saying that the danger we face from Gentile nations was obviously during the time of the destruction itself, obviously, and as well as subsequently other times in Eretz Yisrael when there were other not such gishmak neighbors, other times of danger, right? How many pogroms were there? How many other whatever were there in Eretz Yisrael? Then for sure, it's dangerous. Even when there's a good government there, even when we're in charge, even when the Yidden are in charge in Eretz Yisrael, and they made a peace treaty with Gentiles. Had a Kol's mansion in Golos, it doesn't matter. Because if we're still in Golos, if we're still in exile, we're not actually in control. The Goyim are in control. I mean, HaKadosh Baruch was in control, but the Goyim are in control. Things could change in an instant. Look what happened October 7th, right? Everybody thought IDF's the best. Everyone's the best, and we're great, and and boom, everything changed in an instant. I don't know if it really changed. It was always like that, unfortunately. But you see, chas v'shalom, what could happen? Just if we get comfortable, God forbid, we'll think everything's okay. It's setting up.
Danger, you know.
Danger. Sounds like right here.
Yeah.
And how long will this state of sakana last for? Bis Mashiach. Until Mashiach comes. Kashes battle, Shubin Malchus. The Chlal hu biyadenu. The halacha he biyadu she'esav saying to Yaakov. We have a halacha, a klal, a principle that Esav hates Yaakov. V'kach harezeh nimshach b'meshach haladeris. This goes through all generations of Moshe Libnoi. The father bequeaths to his child. The anti-Semitism they also bequeath to their child. They also pass that on too. And unfortunately, as we see mamish, we see in Eretz Yisrael today, they should educate the children this way. And they see what their parents do. First of all, they teach them explicitly to hate Jews, and more than that, what to do. And not only do they teach them what to do, they show them what to do. Rahman al-Islam. And therefore it's understood, even when you're living in a kind place, a kind country where things are good. There's a peace treaty and we have a government and so on and so forth. Nevertheless, it's not so politically correct. Sorry. There's a chezka sakana, a presumption of danger. I don't know what's going to be tomorrow. What's going to be later? Even if there really is peace, if there's taka peace, we still don't know. Okay, maybe we made a peace treaty, but what about that guy? What about that guy? What about that guy? Are they so friendly? So it's a situation of sakana. In the world, I don't think this needs to be explained, or we don't need to be convinced of this, unfortunately. Maybe a year and a half ago, people did need to be convinced. But we see, Pasha, the world is not, we don't need to increase anxiety and so forth, but we live in a world that's not always so friendly to Yidden. It's not always so friendly. Umishum tam pikuch nefesh, afilu sofek pikuch nefesh, and due to the reason of pikuch nefesh, even a sofek, a doubt, like, yeah, probably not going to die, right? What's really going to happen? Probably nothing. But maybe something, and unfortunately, we see that things have happened. Unfortunately, see if it was the south side of Chicago or Philadelphia, we'd be hitting the deck. Here, I think it's just fireworks. Therefore, for this basic halachic reason, the reason of pikuach nefesh, or at least sofek pikuach nefesh, sofek, the doubt, questionable. For this very reason, that's why through all the years we don't find any great tzaddikim, Talmidei Chachamim, Rosh Yeshiva, and so on and so forth, that did the mitzvah of Shmiras HaMikdash. We don't see anybody who did the mitzvah. The answer was shorter. Question was, why don't we guard the Beis HaMikdash? Took a while to get the question out. Why don't we guard the Beis HaMikdash today? And the answer is sakana. But we're not done with the sikha yet. One last point. Now we've finished the halachic portion of this. Now you need to know this is Mishitz and Akam. So we need to know about the Shomer. Especially certain people in the room who are kohen. Know about it. This everything we discussed, everything we discussed for the first 55 minutes of the year, or 50 minutes, however long we've been learning together for, everything we just discussed, we're going to qualify it. We're going to have one caveat. That is, that is only with regards to guarding the actual physical location of the mikdash, the physical geographical place. And even with regards to everything we discussed, the halacha is still the halacha. You still have to guard the Beis HaMikdash. It's a mitzvah saseh and a mitzvah lo saseh. The halacha is still there. We just had a whole back and forth, a whole discussion, and we said that for technical reasons, we don't do that. But the mitzvah is still a mitzvah. Right? We see that practically speaking, nobody did the mitzvah, and we know the reason why we didn't do the mitzvah. But again, that doesn't mean the mitzvah doesn't exist. And it's only regarding the Gashmi as the physical mitzvah, the mitzvah regarding the actual physical location, rather. But what about a spiritual Beis HaMikdash? Which we'll talk about in a second what that is. So it's very obvious, self-understood. To guard the Beis HaMikdash in a spiritual way, which means to give cover to the Beis HaMikdash in a spiritual way, applies in all times and in all places. What does that mean? Yeduim divrei Chazal. It's known, Chazal teach us various svarim, the various sort of Musar, Reishis Chochma, not Musar like the Musar movement, but Musar is like the classic Musar svarim of Kabbalah, Reishis Chochma, and so forth. The Shla, other places. Chazal say on the pasuk in Parshas Truma that says, "Ve'osuli mikdash, you should make for me a mikdash. Ve'shachanti b'seichem, I'll dwell in you, dwell in your mikdash." But Chazal point out, it says ve'osuli mikdash. Mikdash is lashon yochid, the singular, and it says ve'shachanti, and I, God, will dwell. It should say b'seichoi, in it, because it's the singular, but it says b'seicham, which is the plural. So it's one mikdash. We build one mikdash, and God dwells in it. So they say, you don't guard. Hashem says, I will dwell not in it, but in them. Who is the them? You and you and you and you. Every single one of you have a mikdash inside of you. God says, I will dwell within you. I'll dwell within your personal Beis HaMikdash. As I've discussed, the Rebbe says many times, Shekol Yehudi, every Yida, Noshim Votaf, men, women, and children. Sorich Lasses, Mi Beisoi, Chadrei, Rechushu, Vachuloi, Mishkan HaMikdash LaKadosh Baruch Hu. You have to take your house, your room, in your house, all your possessions, and transform them into a sanctuary for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Beis Torah, Tefillah, Utzedakah. The simple, easiest way we begin to do that is we put mitzvah items through the house. Svarim on the bookshelf. Pushka. The Rebbe actually said not only to put a pushka in the house, the Rebbe said you should nail it to the wall in the kitchen. You should fix it, not place it on the counter. Mamish, nail it into the wall. It should be like it's part of the house. Kvius, tzedakah. All this includes and a child should have in his bedroom a chumash, a siddur, a pushkin in his bedroom, not just in the kitchen, on the dining room table, wherever. In the child's bedroom should have these items: a chumash, a siddur, a pushka, and he should write words on them. He should take a pen, and on the pushka or in the siddur, etc., he should write the words "Lashem ha'aretz umlaya." The entire earth belongs to Hashem. Then his name. Then write his name after that. That's part of how we transform our personal home into a sanctuary. Ubechlolos, Shakol haprotim b'chaya Yehudi in general. Every detail of a Yiddish life, of a Jewish life, of my life, of your life, tzrichim liyos chadurim in kedusha velkos, have to be permeated with holiness, with godliness, with Torah, with tefillah. Everywhere you go to say kapitel tilim, to say you say a bracha, you look for mitzvah opportunities. Everything we do should be permeated. Why am I doing this? Because I'm gonna help like this. I'm gonna help like that. I'm gonna do a mitzvah. Everything has to be with this consciousness. The Gemara says in Kiddushin, I was created to serve. I was created to serve Hashem. That's how I make a mishkan. That's how I make a sanctuary for Hashem. And that's the shmirah. What's the shmirah? So step one is make your home, make your life into a mikdash, into a sanctuary for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Simply by putting a pushka in the room, by putting a chumash in the room, by infusing your day-to-day actions. Obviously, going to shul, that's already holy, but infusing everything you do with a higher purpose, with a kedusha, with a sensitivity to family, to Yiddishkeit, to mitzvahs, and so on and so forth. Step two, now do shmirah. Why do we do shmirah in the Beis HaMikdash? Covet. Now give covet to it. Respect. Respect doesn't sound right. Respect, I guess that's the word. You respect things you cherish. Cherish it. What do you cherish? What do you love? What do you think about? What matters to you? Torah, mitzvahs, a Yiddish life, that's what matters to you. Everything else, okay. Baseball game, this, that, okay, it's also good, fine, but a Yid has to do shmirah, not on movies, shmirah not on the baseball game. Go to the baseball game with the kids, no problem, fine. But the shmirah has to be on the tefillah. The shmirah has to be on learning a Mishnah. That's where the shmirah has to be. So he says, the shmirah is hamidrash mipnei kvod hamikdash. Kovod hashchina, shesifrei hakodesh aloi, my sforim, v'chol inyan kedusha, and all my holy items, my tefillin, whatever it may be, hamishkan b'midrash haruchni b'chayim, hapradim shaloi, tzorach lishma. You have to be shomer them. You have to guard them. It means all of leyakrom b'myuchad. You have to. They're so precious. And when Yidden get together to learn a Blat Gemara, they sit down with the Gemara. They open the Sefer. They start reading, and all of a sudden, one guy says, "What? Say that again." Yeah, sure. Reads it again. It's not what it means. That's not how I read it. What are you talking about? Of course that's what it means. That's when it starts to get good, right? Start to argue, start to yell at each other, maybe, scream at each other. Maybe they even bang on the table. What are you talking about? That's not what it says in the Gemara B'chlal. And they're practically like at each other's throats, screaming like. Then when they're done learning, close the Sefer. They give the Sefer a kiss. You don't kiss your math textbook after you're done studying for a math exam. You kiss the Gemara. You cherish the Gemara. Maybe you have to study math too. I don't know. Whatever. You got to go to work too. You got to do whatever you got to do in life. But the stuff to cherish is the kedusha, the svarim, the tefillin. I was looking a little. We were going to do something on Hilchos Tefillin tonight. Pasha didn't have. I mentioned this. I didn't have time to put together source sheets. Pasha takes time that I usually do. I wanted to do something about tefillin because I noticed a lot of people. Well, maybe we'll do another week. We'll do this on 12, maybe, but I'll say that. But I noticed one of the halachos in Shulchan Aruch says, I don't remember the exact words, that you should kiss your tefillin when you take them out and put them back. Cherish. You kiss the things that are important to you, that you cherish. Much more so, Yoser Medivra Chulin Shalei. I feel my Secha Shehinam L'Shem Shemaim D'Rachech Hashem De'eu Avavachos Zerem Maseh D'Rachel. You're doing all sorts of things all day long, by the way. And you're doing them because Baruch Hashem, we're good people, we're from Baruch Hashem, and we're learning Torah and doing mitzvahs. We know even my dinner is also holy. You say a bracha, and it's kosher, and all these things. But the real things to cherish are my tefillin, my talis, my svarim, my siddur, my gemaras, and so forth. And even though the Hagam, with this will conclude, the Hagam, it's already, I see past 9, the Hagam shekolo oilam, gam divra reshus v'divra achol nivra yedei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even though everything was created by Hashem, your tefillin was created by Hashem, the siddur was created by Hashem, and also your cucumbers that you have with your salad for dinner were also created by Hashem. V'chol regem v'chodesh keteres HaBaal Shem Tov v'yadua, and in fact, as Chassidus teaches, they're created and recreated at every moment. But nevertheless, but there's a difference. There's a difference in how revealed the holiness is in different things, and also the way I feel towards them. Okay, the different gradations of kedusha. The main point is first build a mishkan, put a pushka in your kitchen, nail it into the wall, have a siddur in your bedroom with your then write La Hashem Ha'artzim Loya, and then write your name after it. A siddur of chumash a pushka. Make sure your house there's svarim on. When you put svarim on the shelf, it creates a little bit of a vibe, as the young people say. Creates a vibe. You walk in. I heard from Rabbi Olbaum a number of years ago. Says in davening in the morning before the Kabbalah says ki beisi beis tefillah yikar lecha ha'amin. Rabbi Olbaum told me, so what does it mean? Ki beisi beis tefillah. My house is a house of tefillah. No, it's not. Shul is a beis tefillah. Beisi beis tefillah. My house is not a beis tefillah. I'm supposed to go to shul to daven, right? So he told me no. Ki beisi beis tefillah yikar lecha ha'amin. The Gentiles walk into your house. They see, what is this place? This is, you live here? This is a beis tefillah here. Walk into a Jewish house, what do you see? A shas on the shelf, a chumash, you see svarim. This is a private home. This looks like a synagogue to me. Oh, exactly. That's a Jewish house. Step 1, build a Jewish house, build a mikdash, make it into a beis tefillah, and then do shmira. Guard it, cherish it. When you close the Gemara, you give it a kush. Questions, comments?
Or I thought you putting the siddur in the room as well, so much like that.
I was gonna say that.
So you're supposed to have like certain things like in your room. You talking about a bedroom? We're talking about like
Correct. So if a kid should have it in the
for
bedroom,
kids. Okay.
kid should have it in the bedroom, yeah. Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not at that point even. So
right.
half an hour. So
Kid should have it in the bedroom, yeah. A siddur, chumash,
Okay.
pushka. And adults, maybe outside the bedroom, which we can talk about another time.
Which year is this?
I don't have the because my sefer that has this was I guess printed a different year, so the layout was different. So I didn't bring, that's why I did it from the photocopy instead of the sefer. The back of the sefer tells what year it is, but I don't know. Okay, thank you everyone for coming. Have a wonderful rest of your Thursday night. Good Shabbos. We'll continue, God willing, next Thursday.